Hello. I know it's been a while, but shit, been busy. Been kind of busy. So, this is another installment of Back in the Day! And today I'm going to talk about something that is sorely missing from most video games nowadays. And that is the element of surprise. Now what I mean is, like, experiences where something happened and you just weren't prepared for that shit. Like, it truly, you did not see that shit coming. For example, let's say you're playing Final Fantasy VI. You didn't see Kefka actually killing everybody and succeeding in his master plan to become a god. You didn't see Aghanim actually being Ganondorf, or should I say Ganon, in Link to the Past. All of these various things that were a surprise. You're like, damn, I didn't see that coming. And even in the subsequent generations of games, we saw more surprises. Final Fantasy VII, the PS1, the surprise of just who was Bowser Jr., or sorry, who was the evil clone Paint Mario in Super Mario Sunshine. You know, these surprises that you didn't see coming. I mean, you don't really see that nowadays. You don't really see the element of surprise. Everything is so... It's been done before. It's cliche, even. And it's getting kind of old really quickly. Frankly speaking, I just wish we could see more surprises. So... without much ado, I'm going to give you my top 3 surprises in video games that made me say, I did not see that shit coming. After the cut. So, my first surprise is an old one. And it's not really a surprise anymore. But at the time, we were shocked as hell. And that is Samus being a chick. We didn't see that shit coming. We didn't know. We thought Samus was a dude. And Nintendo pulled the old okie doke. They're like, yeah, Samus. It's the space warrior. She's the space bounty hunter. Well, actually, they said Samus is a space bounty hunter. And they never said he or she. There were no gender-specific pronouns when describing Samus. We just knew that Samus starts out on this planet kind of weak, gradually becomes more powerful, kills a whole bunch of motherfuckers, and then at the top, blows up a giant brain inside of a tank, sets off a explosive chain reaction, escapes, and then apparently at the end of the game, if you finish it fast enough, takes off the suit, and underneath is a hot chick in a unitard. Who knew? With purple hair. Because that's how she looked in the original. I don't know where this blonde-haired chick came from, because she used to have purple hair. But I digress. That was a surprising event. We didn't see that shit coming. So, kudos to you, Nintendo, for giving us that surprise. My next, top surprise from back in the day, old school style of gaming, is something not quite 8-bitish, and maybe might even be in the 16-bit range. After the cut. So this comes from a 16-bit game with something that I just didn't see coming. It was really a shock. And I know what you're gonna say. Well, what game could this be where you were completely surprised by an event? Well, I'll tell you. It's an RPG, but it's not the RPG you might be thinking. Most people would be thinking, well, you know, maybe it's Final Fantasy VI. or Final Fantasy IV, or even Final Fantasy V. Nope. Chrono Trigger? Chrono Trigger is a contender, but nope. No, the number one surprise that I never saw coming, that really, in a 16-bit RPG, that really just shocked the hell out of me, I did not see it coming, was in Lufia 2. That's right, Lufia 2 Rise of the Sinistrals, where you discover that one of your friends, the girl that your main character had kind of almost had a relationship with, turns out to be one of the Sinistrals. Did not see that shit coming. It was a shock. It was a shock. So, I mean, you know, you gotta have that shock value. Gotta have surprises. So, stay tuned for the final old school surprise that really just made me say, I did not see that shit coming. I didn't see it. After the cut. Now it's time for my final surprise that I did not see coming. This is a PS2 title. And for lack of a better term, the reason this boss, this reveal was so shocking is because up until this point you had seen some pretty amazing shit. And by the time you got to the final boss of the game, you were expecting it to be something in the vein of what everything else preceding it had been. In this case, the game is Okami. Now, if you've ever played Okami, it's a very Japanese-centric game. It talks about, use a lot of Japanese motifs and fictional fable-esque characters. So basically, the character that I'm talking about is the final boss of the game, Yami. Now, if you don't know who Yami is, Yami is an orca inside of a giant metal ball. It is the most shocking thing you've ever seen. It's like, what is Yami? It's an orca inside of a metal ball. That's basically what Yami is. Now, up until this point, in the beginning of the game, you're facing off against giant, like, woodcut monsters, you know, monsters from Japanese folklore, demons and tengu and women with their heads that come off and umbrella monsters, just all types of weird stuff. Orochi, a nine-tailed demon fox, a water dragon, all types of Japanese cultural monsters and other creatures. And the final boss is something that I did not see that coming. That was a shock. You got me. You got me, Kamiya. You got me with that one. So, these are my 3 old school surprises. Although I cheated a bit with the PS2 because I don't consider that rightly an old school console. But, whatever. It was a shock. And with that said, it's time to move on to our conclusion after the cut. So, we are at the conclusion of this nice little video I made. Basically, the important thing to realize is that the element of surprise can make a good game into a great game, and that great game into a memorable game. Things have become far too cliche in modern gaming. Like, it's a bad thing when I'm playing a video game and I meet a character early on. I'm like, he's either the main bad guy or one of the main bad guys. Like, right off the bat, you know this guy is a twisted fuck. You shouldn't be able to do that. You know, I remember playing Call of Duty. Forget which one. I think it was the one where, like, the Colonel is actually the bad guy. He killed, in the previous one, he killed the main character and then you get revenge on him in the second, whatever. It's like, yeah, this guy, he's the bad guy. Things have become too cliche, too rote, too easy. I think more people need to challenge how they create their games. People need to challenge how they write their stories for their games, if their games are story-driven. For games that are very, like, Madden or a sports game, it's not that big of a deal, because it's a sports game. No one's gonna be like, man, this sports game is just... Clearly, if I'm playing the game, I'm aiming to become the world champion, or win the Super Bowl if you're playing Madden, or you're aiming to win the series in baseball, the World Cup in soccer, the Stanley Cup in NHL. I mean, it becomes very. I mean, those don't really lend themselves. Those games don't lend themselves well to the element of surprise in the game. But for story-driven games like BioShock, Wolfenstein, RPGs, stuff like that, you kind of need that element of surprise. Don't be cliche. It's like, you are the chosen one, and you are the only one who can save the future. It's like, come on, man. Shit. Honestly, this bullshit. Get out of my shit. We need some different things going on. So, now that I've said that, time to talk about future content. Stay tuned for later on this week, where I'll be giving my thoughts on the Project Cars debacle. And it is a debacle across all measurements of the word debacle. It is a debacle, and I'll explain why. I'll probably have that drop the 27th, 28th. I will not be doing anything Friday except playing Splatoon all day long. Yeah, bitches. I'll be getting splatted all day long. It's not gonna be easy, but I'll be getting splatted, and I'll be splatting some people at the same time. It'll be a group splatathon, if you will. Saturday, I believe that is the 31st. Here, let me check my calendar because I'm an idiot. No, Saturday is the 30th. On the 30th, I will be doing a Daredevil review of the final episodes 8 to 13 of the Daredevil miniseries on Netflix, but I will also put in what we thought about Splatoon into that episode, because I mean, we got to talk about what we've been doing with Splatoon. I mean, come on, Splatoon. Also, I will begin working on my Grand Theft Auto review. I will be reviewing both the single player and online versions of the game. I will have footage from the game in my review of my game, actually playing it, so look forward to that. This will be a full and honest review. I will not be wearing the rose tinted goggles because I love GTA. I do love GTA, by the way. So look forward to that. If it doesn't drop this week, it'll drop the beginning of next week. So with that, I bid you adieu.